Hi, and welcome to another one of my episodes. And I'm your host, Kazar. And today's episode, we're diving into a major shakeup in the AI hardware world. Over the recent holidays, Nvidia, the world's most valuable chipmaker, made a surprising $20 billion move involving a little known startup called Groq. This isn't just a simple investment or acquisition, it's a strategic maneuver, right? With far reaching implications in politics, finance, and tech. Now, I think it's more in politics than it is in tech, but that's something that I don't have any expertise over. But in the next 10 minutes, we'll break down what Groq does, right? Why NVIDIA wants a piece of it, and how this deal could shape the future of AI and the chip industry. So let's get grab a seat and let's get over it. So a quick background, right? So what is Groq, and why does it matter? Let's start with some background. Groq is a startup founded in 2016 by Jonathan Ross, an engineer who previously invented Google's tensor unit, processing unit, TPU, one of the first specialized AI chips. Groq's mission from day one has been AI inference, which is the process of running trained AI models in real time to get answers or make decisions. In the AI world, we often talk about two stages of training, right? Two stages. One is training, which is teaching the model using with lots of data, and then inference, using the trained model to do tasks. For years, right? Nvidia's powerful GPU have dominated AI training, crunching huge data sets to build smarter models. But inference is a different ballgame altogether, right? It's about speed and efficiency. Answering questions or recognizing images instantly, thousands or millions of times a day. And that's where Groq comes in, right? Groq's built a novel processor they call LPU, Language Processing Unit, explicitly designed for lightning fast inference. Think of it like this. NVIDIA's GPUs are like the mighty freight trains. They can haul massive loads of data, but take a while to get up to full speed. Up chips is more like Formula One race car, lightweight and capable of instant acceleration. In practical terms, Groq chips have demonstrated that they can process on the order of 300 to 500 tokens per second on certain large-scale models like Meta's Llama 2. Compare to roughly 100 tokens per second on a GPU setup. This means that Groq can deliver a response to AI queries several times faster and often with less energy used per task, which is a big deal for data centers that are looking to cut costs, right? Which has been the neck of every data center being developed, is the sheer costs and energy that it takes to get these up and running and maintained. Now, the ultra-fast, low-latency performance made in Groq, made it a rising star in the AI hardware ecosystem. The company attracted serious attention and funding. It reported over $700 million and achieving a valuation of $6.9 billion as of financing of late 2025. Groq even touted its technology as building the American infrastructure for high-speed AI inference. In other words, they positioned themselves as a key player, ensuring that the U.S. leads in deploying AI efficiently at scale. Groq specialized approach started to gain traction with customers who need real-time AI, from cloud services to possible government projects. And by late 2025, the timing was perfect. Industry analysts noted an inference flip where for the first time, the business of running AI models, inference, was generating more revenue globally than the business of training them. Right? That seems pretty logical. So you train the models, and now you have to monetize on what you trained it to do. And that's where Groq, that's the second step of, I guess, AI development, right? You need something cost efficient and profitable to be ran on your models. Now, the Nvidia Groq deal. So let's look more into that. It's more like a power move. Once they made the headlines just before Christmas, Nvidia announced of 2025. Nvidia announced a definitive agreement to pay roughly $20 billion in cash to license Groq's technology and hire the core Groq engineering team. Yeah, $20 billion in cash. That makes it the largest deal in Nvidia history by far. So what exactly is Nvidia getting for that price? So they're getting two things: Groq's IP, intellectual property, and the Groq's people. For example, let's go a little bit deep dive a little bit more into it. So let's say technology license, right? Nvidia is obtaining the perpetual, non-exclusive license to Groq's Inference hardware and software IP. In simpler terms, Nvidia now has the right to use Groq's chips, design, architecture, and related software in its own products going forward. Groq, on paper, retains the ownership of its IP, but Nvidia can integrate that tech into its lineup freely and in perpetuity, forever. It's like they bought the recipe and lifetime kitchen rights, but not the whole restaurant. Notably, the license is non-exclusive, meaning in theory, Groq could license it to others as well. However, given what else is happening, and Nvidia has the clear first mover advantage with this technology. The next step is the talent acquihire. Alongside the tech license, Nvidia is hiring the majority of Groq staffs and leaderships. Groq's founder, Jonathan Ross, the visionary person behind the ultra-fast chips, and President Sunny Madra are joining Nvidia to head up the new ultra-low latency AI interface division. In fact, about 80% Groq workforce is moving over to Nvidia. This is a classic acquihire, meaning acquiring a company's talent and expertise without forming and buying the entire company outright. So technically, Groq stays independent. With its new CEOs, it's not disappearing or anything. But its mission has drastically changed. With its IP and core team gone to Nvidia, the new Groq will focus more on only on cloud services and supporting existing contracts. In effect, Groq is exiting the chip manufacturing business. It won't be selling its own hardwares anymore. Instead, it'll use its remaining resources to offer inference services via the cloud for any customers it still has. This allows Nvidia to say, look, we didn't buy a competitor. They're still out there operating. But in practice, Nvidia absorbed what it wanted from Groq, the brains and tech. Why did Nvidia structure it this way? It's simple terms. I'm sure most of you guys got it. And that's regulations. In today's strict antitrust climate, $4.6 trillion giant outright acquiring a small rival in advanced chips would raise flags immediately. Now, keep in mind, Nvidia had a bitter lesson in 2022 when it attempted to buy a $40 billion acquisition of ARM, was blocked by regulators over monopoly concern. This time, Nvidia got creative by doing a licensing and hiring deal instead of a full corporate takeover. They've sidestepped the need for lengthy regulator approval. No mergers to approve means no obvious case for the FTC to sue. As one analyst put it, this was the smartest deal in tech. For now, avoids the FTC scrutiny. So, pretty much, there was no formal merger. They had immediate integration, and they were also able to maintain deniability. These three things are quite important because it caught everybody off guard, and they think that that was even possible. So you guys are probably wondering why. What are the strategic benefits for Nvidia? They could have done this themselves, built something out. But again, keep in mind, Nvidia isn't just a graphics card maker anymore. It's transforming into something called operating system of AI, providing the hardware and the software platform that powers most of AI applications. Up until now, Nvidia's GPU excelled at training AI models and high throughput tasks. But as discussed, the new battleground is inference, where low latency is king. By embracing Groq's technology, Nvidia is effectively solving a speeding problem and filling a gap in its product lineup. So now, not only does Nvidia have the GPU, it now has ultra-fast inference capability, which also helps in the low latency processing. And then it also has the human talent and know-how. I think they probably have almost at this point 90% takeover of pretty much all of the talent in this new field. And it's also widening the moat against its competitors, right? Nvidia now leads over competitors like AMD and Intel in hardware and goes even larger. And been pushing the MI300 accelerators and other chips to compete. And Intel has its own initiative, but Nvidia just scooped up what was arguably the most promising new approach to fast AI computation. This deal is the one analyst said, not just a purchase, but a fortification of Nvidia's dominance. Okay, the next one, the last thing I think would be another dimension is the faster time to market. Now, they just saved themselves 3 to 4 years of R&D, right? That's how long it took. So that is a big thing. Now, let's get on to the next part, which is the financials and political dimensions. The $20 billion in cash is a lot. And sure, it helps with the future dominance of Nvidia stocks, which jumped about 1.5% on the news. From Groq's perspective, the financial outcome is huge. Groq's investors, including big names like BlackRock, Cisco, are seeing massive returns since the $20 billion valuation exceeds that valuation of $6.9 billion in September. So in just a few words, Groq went from promising a unicorn to being valued as one of the most richest deals in the chip sector. It is a bittersweet win. The investors and founders get a payday and validation of their tech, but the cost of Groq's independence. As one tech newsletter put it, Groq's model for building better chip than Nvidia seems to lead not to long-term competition, but rather being absorbed into Nvidia if you succeed. That's great for Groq's backers' wallets. And it probably, set back any type of new hope of a challenger arising anytime soon. And on the political and regulatory front, this deal is raising eyebrows for what it represents. Formally, because it's structured in licensing and hiring agreement, there's no conventional merger for regulators to approve or block. Nvidia was very clever in dancing around the typical antitrust tripwires. In the US, the FTC and the Department of Justice have been ramping up scrutiny of big tech acquisitions, and Nvidia itself was target of that FTC move to block previous attempts to buy ARM in 2022. However, just because it avoids the letter of merger laws doesn't mean that the regulators won't take interest. The deal has been described as masterclass in navigating the modern regulatory landscape. And whether the FTC or European regulators will attempt to challenge or regulate these acqui-hire agreements is an open question. They may well scrutinize it if such deals undermine competition, just as the merger would. After all, Nvidia now controls Groq's key assets and people's So for the market, Groq's competitor is neutralized. So far, there's no sign of immediate regulatory challenge, and given the structure, it might even be difficult to mount one retroactively. But we can expect a conversation in a few days about antitrust in tech, including this maneuver that Nvidia or Groq did. It will definitely come up in the future. There's also the last is also the national interest angle. Groq's technology is now effectively in the hands of U.S. industry leaders, Nvidia, rather than, say, being acquired by overseas entities. Like, let's say, the U.S.-China tech rivalry. And some might view it as positively that American giants are investing in keeping this cutting-edge inference tech within the U.S. ecosystem. Groq had framed itself in building American AI infrastructure, and now the mission continues, you can say. Now, there are broader industry implications and reactions. Obviously, the most immediate impact would be the competitor chip makers. AMD and Intel, both of those companies have been striving to carve out something in the AI sector. AMD, for instance, has its MI300 series GPU and was positioned as a strong alternative to the data centers now. However, Nvidia has upped the ante, and any future AMD or Intel inference solutions will be measured against Nvidia's plus Groq performance, which is, if Nvidia successfully integrates the low latency design into its products, it could leap ahead in inference speed and efficiency. It's also challenges for big cloud players beyond, let's say, the chip companies. Think about Google, Amazon, and even Microsoft, these giants who both consume chips and design their own. Google's TPU was directly challenged by Groq's approach. Unsurprising, since Ross designed the TPU and then made something even faster. Google uses TPUs internally and via its cloud, and Amazon Web Services has its Inference, I think that's how you pronounce it, and Terranium chips for AI. These companies want developers to use the clouds and ideally their custom hardware. But Nvidia move could make this a tough sell. So basically, this has effect. Pretty much has had a mixed reaction, right, of admiration and caution. Nvidia peers and competitors have been put on notice that the company is willing to use its enormous cash reserves to win the AI race. It's very aggressive. And for the AI industry, this could mark the beginning of what we call the inference age arm race, where low latency performance is the hottest commodity. Nvidia has made the most moves to ensure that it's staying ahead. They are leading it, not lagging. And competitors will have to respond, perhaps through their own innovations or partnerships. And we as the public will likely benefit from a faster, more efficient AI services, though possibly the cost of having most of the infrastructure controlled by giants like Nvidia. As we wrap up, here's a few things going forward. How quickly does Nvidia integrate Groq technology into its product stack? Will regulators or government step in? What will happen to Intel, Google, Amazon? What will be their next moves? And what will become the template for future deals in tech? I feel like this could be a big opportunity for everybody, especially the public. There's be new companies that are going to be created from all of this, but also you have to be cautious at the same time. Anyways, well, thanks for listening to Code Over Coffee, and please like the like button. I just started this podcast, and I'm hoping to grow some viewers on this. Thank you guys. Have a good day. See you on the next episode.